So then, you read the title, No Nuts November. Very funny how humanity has come to this place which they have taken something which was the natural process of how reproduction actually happens on this planet, and they have put it in a marketplace, and you have these websites called Pornhub and all that stuff. And they made this movement, this conscious movement, 1 month. And this is more of like a sort of a survival guide, but this is more of seeing things for what they truly are, because we have been exposed to something called the internet. And because we have been exposed to something called the internet, it has sort of created a very damaging effect on the youth. It's a very powerful tool, the internet, if you know how to use it. But this whole entire video is an attempt to make you see that what is this thing called sexuality, and diving into this topic so that if you have the necessary wisdom, it sort of peels off all the layers of the topic around, or the act that one actually does, which one is able to see clearly. Because once you're able to see clearly, then you're no more controlled by, we want to say, compulsive urges. So this thing called sexuality, right? Because there's this, you can say, this market for this type of things through these 18 plus websites and all these images and all that stuff. And, Hollywood making that a focus in the movies that you watch and stuff. They are all trying to influence the population through a means of being able to keep you entertained through a very damaging psychological process. And through this process that is going on, this whole entire system that we live in, if you want to call it a matrix, is trying to keep us trapped and enslaved to something. But if we don't see, there's a saying, in order to keep a person trapped in a prison, you must never let them know that they are in a prison. You see, once you start to see the trap of what you are placed in, then naturally you feel limited, you feel constricted, you feel restrained. Then naturally you want to fight and break free from that. So the one thing I'm going to give you guys a few things. The one thing that you can do is you can start something called a cleanse or a detox. Because what you consume is not based off the food that you eat. What you consume with your eyes, what you consume with your ears, what you consume with the sense perception. All of these play a very pivotal role in your development. Now you see, gaming is a very big topic with the youth, playing games and things like that. If one is not able to see the prison because one is so fascinated by the enjoyment of the act, then one will remain trapped in that. So the first thing, which is the good thing about this month of what they're calling is November, is a conscious effort, not to say that just for this month. This is something that is quite a good thing that is actually created, because this is creating a conscious effort within yourself to break free from limitations. Now, when one breaks free from limitations or an addiction, specifically in this area, if you are used to something and you tried everything to come out of it, you tried everything to break free from these patterns, you cannot shock your system out of it immediately. It has to be a gradual process. Because one finds the urgency to stop a repetitive pattern that has been going on for years, it becomes very difficult to recondition the self. And this is why spirituality is very important, because it brings in the reconditioning in the right way, the way that allows you to become more free than enslaved. So naturally, you have to bring the conscious action of detoxifying yourself by not indulging in what you have been indulging. Because obviously what you have been indulging in, it's like giving a form of a drug to an addict. Now the addict cannot just immediately shock himself out of it. You know, there's this thing called rehab. So gradually they give them a little bit more, then they pull back. Give them a little bit more, then they pull back. Give them a little bit more, and then they pull back. So the same kind of a similar process needs to happen in terms of what you actually consume from your five senses, what you watch on TV, what you scrolling and browsing on the internet, what people you may be subscribed to on social media. All of those things you need to pay attention to as to what is the source of everything that I'm being exposed to that is stimulating me in that type of direction. Now, for someone that wants to stop, but they cannot, because they have, you can say, they can't find that willpower to stop. One needs to see at that moment of in their life, where is their life going? You see, your survivability is not threatened enough, where you can actually see the damage that is being done to the entire system. If you don't see the damage that is being done to yourself, if you don't understand that what is happening to me as an individual is actually destroying my life, if you can't see that there, then you will never find the willpower to stop or do anything to change your life. You have to understand that you are a mortal human being that is living on this planet for a fixed amount of time. And what you do with that fixed amount of time, when you die and you look back at your life, are you going to die with a smile on your face? You see, it's a big question. Did you live a life that was worth living? What have you done all these years that you were alive walking on this planet? You see, a sense of regret will start to set in, which is the biggest problem, because one has lived foolishly throughout this entire life. You must understand the mortal nature. You must understand that you are going to die. You must remember that you are going to die every day. Not understanding, okay, one day I'm going to die. You must know that you're going to die. You need to understand the level of significance of what I am saying. Not just through words and stuff. You got to understand, knowing that you're going to die is something else completely different. When you know that you're going to die, not believe that you're going to die, know that you're going to die. And in order to come to that knowing, you got to constantly remind yourself every day that you're going to die one day. Everyone's going to die one day. You can't argue with that. And it's not a bad thing or a depressing thing. It's a fact. And if you have not accepted that up till this point in your life, then you should be really lucky that this level of awareness now is coming to you to accept. Because when you understand that your life here is limited and you have a fixed amount of time on this planet, that is when the necessary wisdom within yourself starts to illuminate from within. Now, no one has to tell you, do this, don't do this, this is bad, not bad. You would know that your time on this planet is important and it's valuable. You will use it in the most effective way. You won't just abuse the time that you have. You will use it in the most constructive way for yourself to live your best life. So, a lot can be said. I have a course on manifestation which I teach about all these different types of spirituality concepts in order to create your life in the right direction, to unwrite certain patterns that be going on. I'll put a link in the description for this one. But anyway, coming back to this topic, you have to start, the first step starts with the level of awareness. Some people get the idea of, okay, since you're going to die, what's the point? No, you didn't get it. If you think that, you didn't get what I'm saying. So once you have started to gradually move in this direction, some people have the willpower where they can just shock themselves out of it. That's a different level of mastery of the body. That's very easy for some people who have been practicing for a very long time, either maybe on a spiritual path or they learned just how their body functions and being able to practice, like maybe eating differently and things like that. So there's this thing in yoga, it's called pratyahara. Pratyahara is the controlling of the five senses. So not only the senses of the physical body, but also things like the urges within the body, the natural urges to reproduce and all that stuff. So you also need to understand, if you've been walking on the spiritual path for some time, there is nothing